Welcome back to the Dr. Mo Show. Today I am super excited to have Kelsey Daingerfield with me, who is should be my partner in crime as a visionary, and I need an integrator in my life. So I need all the good information, Kelsey, about what you do and how you help crazy tornado brain people like me get their lives together.
Well, that's not uncommon, so let's start with that. So essentially, I say I'm a pocket COO because I like the idea of like I'm in your pocket. I'm just like a Voxer away. We can talk because there's always things going on in our brains. But essentially, I work with multi-six and seven-figure business owners, and I help them just streamline their operations. And we go through everything from how is the business working? What are the bottlenecks and just the pain points that you're feeling right now that you just want off of your shoulders? And it could be something that you have to automate, you have to delegate it, or you have to delete it. Maybe it's just something you don't need anymore. And then we work through that. We work through your systems. We also work through teams because one thing I learned like way back when I was managing a Starbucks is if somebody's doing something wrong, you can't assume they're doing it wrong on purpose. You have to assume that maybe they just don't know the process or maybe it wasn't given to them clear enough. So we walk through even things like that, team communications, and really just helping get your business where you want it to go, get your time back, and then keep moving forward. And I think one thing that I love about what I do is it's not just business. I find that I get a little bit intertwined with your personal life too, because let's face it, it's all gray. Like there's no hard, clear line, especially when you're an entrepreneur and a business owner. And so it's helping you establish the boundaries between your life and your business too, so that you can feel like you're showing up in both.
I love that. And I think that's a key point is, somebody said once, when you work from home, you don't work from home, you live at work.
Yeah.
So it bleeds and sometimes it bleeds. And it does it's a gray area. It's we find ourselves talking about work too much to the people that don't need to hear it from us. They need us to be mom or wife, or they need us to be somebody, just us,
Yeah.
not us as the business owner.
Yep. And one thing I encourage, and I started implementing it just with myself when I went full time in this, was I call them mommy breaks, but my 6-year-old says he doesn't like the name, so I have to change it. But I go back to it's like taking just 2 days away from the house and I'm just Kelsey. And it helps you just kind of refine you because before you were married, before you went and started a business or anything, like you were just you. And so taking that time to just kind of get back to baseline. So I think that's important.
I love that. I love that. And my podcast has completely it's just morphed. It's morphed like they do. That's why I ended up calling it the Dr. Mo Show, because I'm like, I know this is going to meander because this is how my brain
Mhm.
works. And so, one of the things that I teach to my physicians that come to me is to have the freedom to shift and the freedom
Yeah.
to change their direction. And that is a very difficult emotional change for people that have been in a conventional, traditional path
Yeah.
to moving out from becoming provider to owner. So, and this is what I was kind of really excited to talk to you about was somebody asked me yesterday, why would I want to go from being a healthcare provider to an owner? And I thought to myself, how do I actually explain that to someone, how it feels to solve your own problems, to create your own problems, to have that autonomy? Just to me, it feels amazing. But not everybody
Yeah.
thinks like that.
It can be a little scary. Like, it's definitely scary when you're getting started because it's like you've been, especially leaving that corporate or any kind of role like that, like you've always answered to something, to somebody, and now it's you're answering to yourself. And even like when you're working in like a corporate or traditional environment, you have sounding boards too that are you work with every single day. So it's shifting. You're shifting so much of your what you've been trained essentially from birth to expect with your life, and you're shifting that entire mentality. So it's fun and terrifying at the exact same time.
Yeah. It completely is. It's like strapping yourself into the roller coaster and you're at the top of that first hill thinking, I don't know if this was a great idea, but it's really fun.
Yep. 100%.
It is. It is. And not everybody's cut out for it, for sure. I've had physicians who have tried to go complete entrepreneurship and they just it's hard, much it's rocket fuel, right? You have to get out of the atmosphere. You've got to push that initial part to get through that hard part of the first part of the shift, the emotional part of the
Yeah.
shift, and to get through that. So as a fractional COO or just, a brain trainer, when you go in and try to and look at a company and real look at a business owner, right? If you look at a business owner and the way they've structured things, a lot of them are visionaries like me, where I want to fix the world. I want to change the
Mhm.
world. I want to create a better world. But that sometimes does not translate from like critical drivers to key performance indicators.
Mm.
So critical drivers are a mess. I have all these pie in the sky goals, but how do we get from A to B? I don't know, what advice would you give to somebody who's starting out that they're like, I don't even know where to start. What do I do?
For me, like if you're just getting started and trying to figure it out, I always say embrace the power of a brain dump. Either write it all down or put it on like a Google Doc and get everything out of your mind from your worries, the things you're afraid of, to the things you want to do, and just get it all out and then just walk away for a minute. Give yourself a break because when you come back, you're going to look at the list again and you may add a couple more things. And then from there, what I like to do is what's important now, what's important later. So you can kind of figure out like what important nows are going to be the things that are going to help you drive your sales, or they're going to help the low hanging fruit things like set up a Gmail account. Boom. And
Right.
it can be something so simple as that to getting your website up and running or to figuring out your services. And so really the brain dump, kind of organizing it into like, what's a realistic accomplishment now? If it's launching a podcast and a website and a blog, could you do that tomorrow? Or maybe that's in a couple months from now. And just being realistic with what you can accomplish and starting there. And I think there's that. And then there's the whole rip off the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Just rip off the Band-Aid. And when I was getting started, I was like, well, I'm not a VA, but I'm a fixer. So what is that? And like I just kept kind of simmering and letting it fester. And I was like, you know what? Let's just rip off the Band-Aid and let's just go and put yourself out there and we're going to embrace the pivot. And it went from like doing temporary admin work to OBM, me being an OBM being like, this is great, but I don't like doing all the implementation. I like being helping with the strategy and helping the owner and being their sounding board and being the lockbox and being that really the right hand. And so I was like, what is that? And again, just embracing that pivot and giving yourself the grace to do that because who says you can't? There's
Yeah.
nobody telling you no. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I
So,
love that because in traditional career paths, I mean, I was a physician full time on the ground in person. That wasn't my first career. I was an athletic trainer before that.
ah,
And, everyone always asks, why did you leave a good job to go back to school? And there wasn't a lot of job security in athletic training. There's more it being a physician, of course. But changing to this, very few people understand. And I tell people I spent the first part of my career as a physician taking care of patients. The second part is taking care of the people who take care of patients.
yeah, because they need it too.
And they need, like you said, they need a sounding board. They need a lockbox. We need a community of physicians with a safe space to go to
Yep.
make change. And maybe that's not because people are like, oh, you're trying to get people to leave medicine. No, absolutely not. I want them to stay on the ground, ideally part-time, thriving.
Yeah.
Because then again, any a happy person is a better worker.
Yep.
It's we get more done, we have more brain space. A healthy, happy person is a healthy, happy person. Like you
Yeah, you can't burst the bubble. They're good.
and they're solid. And they're
Mhm.
solid and they come in and that's the best part. They have a job where they have autonomy and a voice. Where in healthcare, that's pretty tough right now because just the burden of the patient load that needs help in
Yeah.
the real world medicine. between that and it's the structure that is. We're not going to, please, we are not going to talk about healthcare
We'll cross
today.
that bridge another day.
We are not going to talk about that. But like opening it up, if you can decompress. So for my clients, say for example, I do a lot of shift work, which is the double entendre between my next book is called Shift, and that's what my program is based on, is shifting that because the emotional shift was very difficult. But a lot of my people do shift work. If you can do half the number of shifts in that traditional environment, you serve that need and you decompress with feeding your soul. So you keep filling the bucket because that I'm really sorry the healthcare bucket has a lot of holes in it right now. So
It
it's,
doesn't. You burn out and you hear, like, I feel like in healthcare, I think that's the most I hear. I used to work at a university and everybody in the nursing area, they're like, oh yeah, we know that like after 3 years, the nurses burn out. So a lot of the hospitals are paying for grad school because of this. And it's just like, but if that's a known challenge, then how do we fix that so we don't have them burn out? How do we address that to where we're continuously feeding and getting more people into support, but our attrition is lower because we're taking care of the people that are doing the work too?
yep. Oh, I 100%. I mean, in emergency medicine, which is how I'm classically trained,
Yeah.
it's the lifespan of, well, the true lifespan, actual lifspan is actually quite short for people who work in full-time emergency medicine, and that's terrifying to me.
Yeah.
But the career span, it was something like 40% of female emergency physicians left the profession within 5 years.
Wow. After all that work too.
And that just, I mean, I was there full time for 13 years and and then part time for another couple. And I still go very part time for right now. And 5 years, like you're in
Yeah.
residency almost that long. And then we lose them. What if we could even have them working instead of 12 shifts a month, four? It,
Yeah.
it still keeps you on the ground doing a job that you love. Of course, loved it. You wouldn't have married it if you didn't love it at the beginning. So anyway, but back to this, back to actually making it work because not everybody wants to be a full entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And almost no one wants to go it alone, but at the beginning, you're wearing all the hats. You don't have a choice.
Yeah. You really are. And I think that's where, when getting started, signing up and being a part of a community helps. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy and expensive, but just even like a local group, if you know there's a local group in your area for business owners, it's like just to help network, because that's where you listen to other people's stories and you can ask them questions and learn from them. So I like
Yep,
that.
I agree. So when would you say is the time? Say someone started a business, they've gotten to a point where they're like, "Holy crap, I can't do this anymore. I can't do all the hats. I can't wear all the hats. My head is not that big."
Yep.
When would they come to you and say, "Okay, Kelsey, I need help. What do I do?"
Yeah. There's a couple different ways because I find that like not everybody's going to be able to come right off the bat and hire a fractional COO. It just doesn't make sense. You don't need that. So for that, I start with coaching, where it's like your operational and strategy coach, where you come in and it's like you have the business moving along. It's just you, or maybe you have a VA and you're like, okay, like now I want to start getting my time back. I want to start buying back my time a little bit. And I know I'm working 40 plus hours. So what can we start to look at to standardize? How can I leverage my support, my VA better? Or maybe I need to bring on a VA. And that's where I think the coaching comes in because it's not a break the bank rate, but it's somebody that has already gone through it and help bring you back out to say, okay, what's important now? What's working? And are you just continuously trying to fix the thing that works, which most of us are usually doing because we don't want to go over here.
Messy over there.
It's messy. And that's where having like just that partner, again, that sounding board to help pull you out and say, okay, this is fine. Let's start focusing over here. Let's get you some systems in place. Like what system do you have like 5 different softwares you're using? Can we consolidate? And just helping simplify so that you can start getting the time back and then deciding where you want to reinvest it. Is it continuing on this one product line? Because I think you should really focus on one thing that you're good at first. Or is it like, do you want to expand a little bit? Do you want to look into getting a podcast going? What does that look like? Let's talk through. And so I think that's the importance of like when you're first getting started is getting a coach, getting somebody that can help hold you accountable, help you start setting your boundaries now, because it's just going to keep evolving and things will tend to creep into your life. So helping to start setting the boundaries, um, and just working through it. And then the next one, it's like the walking alongside you. So I have another option where it's like kind of like your middle tier. You have a little bit of a team. You're not ready for someone to come in and help manage your operations with you. You have like an OBM, you have some people in your team. That's where you bring somebody in to give guidance. They're able to be Switzerland and hear pain points from your team members and say, okay, let's translate this back to you and let's fix these things and let's start bridging the gaps. Let's start bringing everybody full circle. And I think that is a nice one. It's more of like consulting guidance where it's like you're mentoring the team and the owner and you're just helping them become stronger and really start aligning into one direction. And then that fractional COO, like pocket COO thing that I have, that's where I'm in your business with you now. You have your team. We're all starting to go in the same direction. So what does longevity look like? What do you want out of your business? Like, do you want to start another venture and have this business running itself? Do you want to prep it for sale? And we start coming up with what are your goals? What are your pain points? And then we address them and we just keep trickling down the list. Does that help? Did I explain that
Nope,
okay?
that was absolutely perfect because,
Okay.
so when I first started my practice, which is where a lot of people come to me where they just want to start, and I ended up doing telehealth kind of by mistake. I saw it was an option, but I was on my own health journey and I just literally got online in these Facebook groups and started talking to people and saying, no, 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 that's not how it works. Hold on a second. And then I would kind of explain and they're like, wait, you're a doctor? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, can you be my doctor? I'm like, I don't know, maybe. So, and that's how it started. And next thing you know, I got 100 patients and then 150 patients, and I couldn't take care of them myself. I hired the wrong way. Imagine that, because I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I'm a doctor. We don't learn anything about business in medical school or undergrad or grad school. I went to grad school for athletic training. If we learned anything in business, I was too young and not listening.
Yep.
So most of it's self-taught. And I've been a serial entrepreneur, but the point to, the coaching versus the really in-depth consulting versus then I'm in my company. That's actually, when a physician comes to me and says, I want my own thing. I want to feel the reward of getting this, but it's too daunting because it's one of the
Hmm.
things that I help them with. And some of the things that I help them with, they would rather have I start them off, but then they need a COO or a process person to really walk with them in that business.
Yep. Because, and I think it's something that, because when I was even going through the like, what am I? What do I do? I kept being like, gosh, I feel like there's people for the first tier that are just getting started. There's a lot of like coaches out there. And one thing I do recommend before I even talk further is when looking at your first coach, look at somebody who has the life that you want and work with them first. Because they've been where you are and they're a step ahead. So I would say go with someone that's doing something that you want because that's going to help keep you going and keep your momentum. But I find that there's a gap when it comes to the support. You have like getting started, like what, like five figures, like up to like 80K, 70K, where like you can kind of do it yourself or you have like a coach. And then you have the people that are saying like, I have $1 million months. I have $500,000 months. But like, what about the people in the middle? Like, and I kept hearing it. I was in different groups at the time, so I know it's also like the algorithms, but I just kept being like, I feel like there's a middle piece that's missing, like that strategic person that can help you get through the mental blocks that you're facing. And it could be scaling your business, it could just be standardizing your business, but it's that middle piece that I think is when we need the most help because
Yep.
you've already hit your first level of success. So how do you get out of that, like ceiling essentially?
Right. It's like where, Dan talks about it in other circles. We met in Dan Martell's coaching group. So
Yeah.
he talks about the 300K ceiling and in going from there. And because the 300K ceiling is when you're doing it yourself, right? That's a physician, that's a physician specialist. You're doing everything yourself. No, you've got office staff. Yeah, I get it, but still not. And what something you said, you used two words that I thought were just critical, both standardizing, because you didn't use systematizing, you used standardizing. And I love that word instead, because you cannot scale until you have standards in place and systems that support those standards. I just did a video on this. It was about food, but but you can't, we can set pie in the sky goals, but until we go back and realize, okay, goals are great, but what is the standard I have to uphold? How is my business standardized? How is my life standardized? And it makes me sound really boring, but you can't have that spontaneous time until the rest of it is standardized. Otherwise, it bleeds.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to like when you're in the thick of it with your business and you're getting your standards in place, I think you need to, this is something I tell myself all the time as I step back and like, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect. Because I used to be like, create an SOP, step one, step two, step three, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, but it just changed. Crap, now I have to go update my Google Doc. Who has time for that? So instead, it's like, okay, let me make it realistic. Let me just do a record. And Dan talks about it as like the camcorder. But in my mind, it was always like exactly the same thing. Like you were screen record what you're doing with your processes. And even if you're just screen recording with like Loom, you can save those. And when you bring on a support person, have them watch them and just continuously leveraging that because when you bring on the support and they can go through your videos and kind of get up to speed on your process, they can go through and update it too and create a new version of it. And I think it's
Yes.
keeping it simple. We overcomplicate so many things, especially when you're trying to scale. And like you see a business coach that uses this platform, so you have to have that platform. But do you really have
Right.
to have
Right.
it?
Is that, and and we had a meeting this morning with my practice group, and I said, why do I feel like we're making this process much more complicated than it has to be? And my process person said, because we are.
And then say something.
So, and now we're kind of going through because we our company we were only in 14 states and we
Okay.
just went nationwide.
Wow.
So we're in all 50 states and
That's amazing.
it's great, but it's also shined this very bright light on our systems that were not at all efficient.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good. And we didn't announce it yet. So it's even better because this podcast will not come out until we've announced it fully because our practice is 50 state and we're still getting them trickling in because I do lives, because I love what I do. So that's what I talk
Yeah.
about. And so but we're trickling in and by doing that we're literally showing these systems and I'm like, wow, this is terrible. Why are we doing it this way? We're doing it that way because it worked. And like you said, it's going to change.
And it's nice that you get that because you get tunnel vision. And I'll never forget, like, it's this is a very, like, I used to manage a Starbucks when I lived back east. And my store, I prided myself on how clean it was. And then my boss would come in, fresh eyes, and he'd find like one little thing. And I'd be like, what? And that's what happens in your business. You get tunnel vision and things are like, they're working because they're working. The process is working. And then when you bring in a change, that's when it shines the light, like you just said. And you're like, the process is working, but does it have to be like that? Or can we simplify this now?
Yes.
And you don't have to have all the answers. And I think that's one thing to remind
Mhm.
ourselves is we don't have to know everything, but we have to know when to raise our hand and say, like, hey, like, who can we tap to help us with this? Who can we lean on? Because I mean, I know we have Google and we have ChatGPT, but still, other people can get things done faster.
They can. And that is if anyone listening hears nothing else is you cannot succeed alone. And whether it's a mastermind of like-minded people who you need to bounce things off of,
Yep.
or a coaching group, or you have to be in the right circles because once we're in the right rooms, then we get help. One of the other members of Dan's group also owns a medical practice and he's a non-medical founder, which is super interesting. He and I meet once a week to bat around how we're doing things with our business and how, because I'm a medical founder, but his
Yeah.
doc, that's his medical founder, doesn't really talk to him. He's
Okay.
just the grunt work. So he and I get together. He tells me his amazing systematic processes. I tell him my janky medical processes that the medical care is the easy part.
Hmm.
That's what we're trained in. But he and I get together once a week and we talk about how are you doing this in the business? How am I doing this in business? How what are you measuring? What are we doing? We're competitors. We're technically competitors in this market.
Yeah. And I think people get so caught up in the competition, like they worry too much, but there's more than enough like cake to go around here.
Lots of
Like
cake.
there's so many people and there's so many people that need help. And I love that you're doing that because even when you are getting started, or even when you're already in the thick of it matters where you are, like who you're surrounding yourself with. Like I was in a mastermind, well, it was like an accelerator, and it was good, but I was like, just recently, and I was just like, this is great, but I'm not really getting anything out of it anymore. And I said something to like the person that runs it, and I was like, I don't want to be rude. I'm like, but I feel like I'm not getting much anymore. Like I can still show up and support, but I need someone to talk through and bounce things and like have
Yeah.
that partnership and friendship. And she was just like, hey, you're not at the right group anymore. I'm
I
like, you
love
need to
that
go.
she owned that fact and said, "You've
Yeah.
outgrown the group. Time to go."
And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think when we all want to people please. And like when you're getting into groups, if it doesn't feel right, it's okay to bow out, like, and
Yeah.
just go find somebody else that can help be there for you because it's like a date, like you're dating. You're
Yeah.
dating people to find your fit.
Exactly. And I've been coaching, well, coaching and mentoring for 25 years, but the coaching practice itself started about 5 years ago. And I didn't like the way I did it. It didn't feel good what I was doing. Like you said, when you were trying to figure out what exactly were you doing, I shut everything down
Hmm.
and I went back to work. And like I just worked in the ER and did nothing else for like 2 years. Not even 2 years. It didn't take very long. It was like less than a year because and the problem is that I kept trying to coach at work
Mm.
and I kept trying to make the group better and just really I was not I was the as my neighbor who's a prominent business owner in the area says I was the worst employee ever because I was loud, I was obnoxious, I had all these ideas because there was nowhere to go with them. I didn't have a voice there, which is fine but it wasn't my job.
Yep,
And so you have to find where you fit and where you fit changes.
it does.
And it's really
100%.
scary.
Yeah. And I think that's like, we all have to remind ourselves, like, we have no idea what we're doing.
No.
We're figuring it out as we go. We're
Mm-mm.
doing our best. It's like when you have a child and they just like send you home from the hospital and you're like,
Oh yeah.
you figure it out. And you're gonna have some,
Absolutely.
yeah, like you're gonna do your best. You're gonna figure it out and just wake up every day with like a positive thought, like, hey, today I'm gonna accomplish this. This
Yep.
is one thing that I'm gonna do. And I always like, I tell this is like my method in my brain for when I was in corporate. I'm like, when I'm unhappy starts outweighing the happy,
Mhm.
we need to have a reflection. Like, what's going on here?
Yep.
Is it me? Is it the business? Is it a process? Like, what doesn't feel right?
Like the shoe feels too small.
Yeah. And like I started and like I'm going through my own growth right now in the business and I'm like, no, like because I have corporate clients, I have like I'm in many different industries and I'm starting to be like, like I can do this, like my inbox. I'm like, no, this inbox is totally manageable. And then I logged in on Monday and I'm like, nah, maybe not. Maybe it's not as manageable as I thought. And now I'm like, you know what? It's time to start getting additional help because I don't have to do it all. I don't have to go in at the end of the day and do it. I can have somebody help me. And I think that's the other thing is just who can help? Let's
Yep.
go look.
Yes.
Going
And
off on a
because
little tangent
and there are
there.
plenty of no, but it's perfect because there are plenty of people who can help. There are people that love to do like uh, I just hired help to do a map of my customer journey. I've been trying to do this for 6 months myself. Because who has time to sit down for 4 hours and do it? Because that's how long it's going to take me to sit down and even map it out. I've got scrap paper, I've got sheets, I've got index cards, I've got, boards on my whiteboards on my computer on my iPad. and but I can't see it that well. I'm a visionary. I know the type of people I help and I know how I help them, but this map in between, I couldn't, I spent months.
Hmm.
Instead, I met with someone, we walked through it, and he's like, okay, I'll have it mapped out. We'll meet Thursday. This was yesterday. Hmm. Yep. I'm
And
like,
that's where you're like, dang, it's worth it.
mhm.
It's
And
worth being able
and
to
it
rate.
wasn't even expensive because for him, it takes his brain 3 seconds to figure it out. He writes it down because he knows that's what he does every day.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
it's
I'm not going to expect like you're not going to expect a podiatrist to walk into the ER and handle a trauma. It's not what they do every day, and I'm not looking at feet. Of course, I don't handle traumas anymore either, but there's that.
it's so true. Like I was at a women's summit, a business summit last week, and I met another fractional COO. She's a fractional CMO and COO. We were talking, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm actually stepping away." I was like, "Oh, why?" She's like, "I love doing." She's like, "I love building the things and doing the work." I was like, "You're the implementer." She's like, "Yes, I don't want to be on like Zooms every day. I don't want to be having the strategy calls. I want to do." And I was like, "I'm the polar opposite." I was like, "I'm
You're
bad."
like, would you like to
Oh,
work together?
I know. And we talked, and she's over actually, I think near you. And we were talking, and she's like, "Hey, if you ever want to see how we can leverage each other," I'm like, "You know what? Yeah, because like you're saying, how you have somebody come in to map it, that just reduced your stress. Like this big elephant in the room is now gone. Like it's taken care of." And it's like that the rule, the 10-80-10 rule that we always talk
Yes.
about in Dan's group. And I think it makes so much sense. 10%, you meet, you go through 10% of the process. This person is going to go map everything out and you're going to do the final 10% review.
Like it's incredible. And
Yep.
when you actually start to implement that process, like because we have a playbook, we're taught in Dan's group to have a playbook, which is just a collection of SOPs, sort of, but it's supposed to be from a higher level. We're not quite there yet. But it depends on the people, right? You have some transformational people, you have some transactional people. You've got to kind of hit them all. I now have one of my staff goes in and does the 80% part now, the way it's supposed to be, instead of me writing them all and having other people then go through them. I said, I
Yep.
can't anymore. I can't.
No.
It's just too much.
And I think, and it's funny because that's actually something I did for a tech company that's in the automotive industry. It was like, left side doesn't like sales doesn't know what marketing is doing. They don't know what customer management or onboarding. Nobody knows what the other one's doing. So we ended up having team meetings and walking through the process. And was it the most efficient use of our time having everybody there listening to one person go through the process? Probably not. But it ended up bringing everybody together because they went, "Oh, you do that?" And they're like, yeah. And like the tech person is like, we can automate a little bit of this. And it ended
Yes.
up bringing the team together. And then we would go away, clean it up, finalize it, and then bring it back to the main person. But having just every once in a while, bringing everybody together to walk through a process will do wonders for just the culture and the team mentality to it. So if you haven't done that, I would definitely recommend every once in a while being like, let's walk through our customer journey when you get this back. Like, hey guys, I wanted
Yes.
to do this walkthrough with you and let them see because then it's transparency.
And we've always prided ourselves. So I've got the medical practice, and in the medical practice, in our journey, we do 99% of our care asynchronous, which a lot of people do. A lot of people will do it through a platform called Go High Level, and they've automated it through that. But when a physician starts, they want what's called an EMR. They want an electronic medical record system because that's what we're used to. So we invested in a couple of SaaS products for an EMR, and they're all based on synchronous means. They're
Okay.
all, which I'm like, this isn't what we need. This isn't, it like literally had 80% of what we didn't need, 20% of what we did, and then we had to back end the other parts anyway.
Yeah.
So I developed an EMR because I had nothing else to do.
Hmm.
So we have Maverick charting systems that we've been using we're coming up on a year right now. And so we've been using this product for a year. It's been in production. Q2 will actually go to the public to use because
Cool.
it's simple. And that's exactly it. Because everything there are all these things. Like,
Yeah.
no, we need this simple. We don't need all this automation. A doctor walking in taking care of 200 patients Doesn't need automations. They need a charting system and a way to talk to their patients and a way to prescribe.
Yep.
Let's make it easy on them. Then when they want more, because all my EMR people get 30 days of coaching
Okay.
included. So, which is pretty freaking amazing in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's not just coaching on the EMR. It's not like, oh, you get customer service calls. No, you get coaching on how to get your business running in a way that's not awful. Because let's be serious. When it starts in the beginning, please let me tell you how not to do this.
hmm And that saves everybody time. It's like you need to hear these things. Like you need someone to come in and tell you, like, hey, I did this, don't do this.
Don't do this.
You're gonna
Even, I
waste.
mean, just little things. Like we were joking before about getting a Gmail account. Like,
Yeah.
what if it's a super easy thing? And here's me. Don't get a public Gmail account. Start from day one and get a Google Workspace. Like
Yes.
little things like that you would never think to do. So guess what I have now? I have this whole drive full of crap that we have to move into my Google Workspace drive.
Yep. And I was even, so I just did this for a client. They have two different emails they use in their business. And now there's a third that's a Google business, Google Suite. And I'm like, okay, we're going to start moving and migrating. And I'm going to build out a shared drive because I just learned, even though I have like my drives for like my team, if one of them leaves and like say they disconnect like their stuff, I can lose some of the documentation that they created and shared with me. So even when you're in Google, like looking into a shared drive and understanding how that works. So in the
Yep.
long term, you know what to do. It's all these little nuances that like
Mhm.
these little nuggets really help you save time in the end.
Yes. And if you think ahead, right? So a lot of, like when my physicians come in, they'll say, "Well, listen, I just want because what I do is I help physicians get 10,000 a month recurring revenue. Most of them choose telehealth because it's in our wheelhouse, it's easy, we just go.
Hmm.
So it's $10,000 a month. They're like, "No, no, I just want a couple thousand a month just to decompress, pay my mortgage, do whatever, pay for my kids' private school,
Yeah.
whatever it is." And they're like, "I don't need all that." Those are famous last words. Because if it costs you $15 a month to get that Google Suite with a Google Voice number that you
Yeah.
can communicate with people and you do it up front, it will save you so much time later.
Yeah. 100%. Because when you're like, well, maybe if I scale this business or it grows in like 5 years, 10 years from now, you're gonna have to hire somebody to take this and get it
Uh-huh.
all over here. And it is not
Uh-huh.
an easy feat. You need
So
to pay the whole
just start it. But again, no one was there to tell me this part.
No. Nope.
Where were you? No, but I wasn't in the right circles. Well, I wasn't in any circles. I literally had people coming to me saying, "Can you be my doctor?" That's how it went,
Which is awesome.
which was
But then you're like,
great.
I gotta go fix this now.
But now I'm like, oh, I mean, I had to do everything from rename my company because I didn't do this the right way. Like, this was my emergency medicine company 3 years ago. And when you say like 5 to 10 years, that's what we all think, right? Oh, I'll scale. I won't be ready to scale for like 5 years. And you're like, yeah, but you keep having people that ask you, are you in Iowa? Are you in? No, 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 which means you can't take care of those people.
Yeah.
So when people come to you and say, listen, I think I need an actual COO with me, but I can't afford a full time. You have a part of your business, a facet of your business that you can say, yes, I can help you with that. And it's
Yeah.
right in line with, see, the thing is, you don't want to help everybody because we can't,
No.
because then
You
we end up in
can't.
the same place. Then we're right back at the beginning.
Yeah.
But when it's in line, like, you help people along this path. There are different kinds of people along that path.
Yep. And I
But
think it's fun. And I think that's the part that I like, even with like one of my clients, I was just like, well, my client has like this thing that they're working through right now. And it doesn't completely fit into my package that I offer. And I have a business coach. I will always have a coach. She was just
Mhm.
like, wait, I'm sorry. Who owns your company? And I was like, well, I do. And she's like, oh, who has managerial override? Who? And I was like, I do. And she's like, you can make any changes if you want. She's like, you select the people you work with. You select them. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're completely right. I completely forgot about that for a hot second. And you need the reminder. And I think that's the beauty of it is as you go, like you're picking and choosing who you want. Like basically, if you want, pick someone that you can go on a road trip with if you're radio broke.
Exactly.
Like
Right.
somebody that you could get stuck in a car with for a 6 hour drive, 12-hour drive, and be totally fine. And how I look at my clients as I bring them on, it's not short term. To me, it's a relationship. It's a
Yep.
long term. Until I can't support them,
Yes.
I
Until I
will,
have to lift them to someone else
yeah.
who can help them.
And to me, that's just a job well done because it's like,
Yes.
we did it.
Yep.
We fucking did it. You're at your next level. And I had a client that I offboarded in the fall. And I love him to death. And we were working together and we purposely worked me out of the business so that he could make some changes financially to where he could get taken care of more and really put his life and family first. And we had a strategy to do that and we did it. And when I left, like I had some of my old coach was just like, so like, are you upset? I'm like, no, like that was our goal and
Yeah.
we did it. And like I will always be there for him and he can always come back to me if he ever has questions. I'm like, but right now that's what he needed.
Yeah.
And oh, it's just I love that personally. Like that to me is success.
Yes. When people don't, you want people to stay with you, not because they need to. They want to you and not to even stay in a like we said, stay in a coaching group that you've outgrown.
Mhm.
But if 10 years down the road you progress to a different space and you're at a
Yeah.
different level and he's like, "Hey, I want to be at that level." And he knows you can get the job done.
Yeah. And I think Dan talks about it in one of the trainings. It was you're what is it like you're not selling to them, you're like auditioning
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, like you need to decide too if you can help somebody.
right. And
I mean,
I've hired coaches that could not help me.
yeah,
Like absolutely could not help me. And that's a lot of sunk cost for people that don't get you anywhere.
yeah, that's definitely one. It's deciding. It's like, okay, do I do a 1 year plan? Do I do monthly? What do they offer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason, even with the EMR that we produce, we offer a 6 or a 12-month contract
Hmm.
because I have been locked into 12 months with platforms that I cannot stand because EMRs, a couple of them now go month to month, which is very cool.
Yeah.
But I even had one that would not give me my patient data. They still help, even though I told them, they're like, it's $5,000 for this export. And I said, I don't care. I need the patient data.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't give it to me. I think they didn't have the capability to do it,
Mm.
to be honest, because that's why they were charging $5,000 and they just ghosted me. And I said, guys, and I still don't have that patient data. And it's very unfortunate and illegal, uh,
Yeah.
but so that's why when we created our EMR, again, you solve the problems. With one button, you get a patient export to work on downtime in my system
Wow.
because I don't ever want to put one of my clients in that situation where they're like, I didn't have access to your system and I couldn't do my job. Nope, it's not how it works. Once a week. And I have it on manual for a reason. I don't have automatic downloads because it's a HIPAA compliant space. So I don't want it going to some drive that they isn't HIPAA compliant. They have to actually, accept and, do all the regulatory things.
Yep.
But that's why we do what we do because we want people to succeed and we want to make sure we can help them win.
Yep. That's all it's about. It's just helping. And like what you're saying with the contracts, I do the same thing. Like I prefer, and I've had coaches kind of like, no, you shouldn't do that. But with the pocket, like fractional COO, I do 3 month because you can't
Mhm.
accomplish a lot in a month. You can
Right.
accomplish a goal or two in three. And at the end of the third month,
Yep.
we still like, is this a good relationship for both of us? And you
Yes.
can part ways if you're like, maybe not. Or you can be like, yeah, let's go. And then
Right.
that's where you do the long-term commitments.
Yep. Yep. And
Again,
my physician group is 3 months. Or well, it's not the group. My one-on-one physician coaching is 3 months.
hmm
And then after that, they have the option to either, go one-on-one with me, or there's a group that they can be in, still ask questions. We've got weekly group calls and that kind of. So again, we can either form this long-term, all right, listen, I need this support going forward because I know I'm going to grow.
Yep.
Or we can listen, no, I need 3 more months of this. Let's go. So it just gives people options.
Yeah, there's
And
nothing
yeah,
wrong with
I've
that.
had coaches say the same. Don't do that. Lock them into a year. I'm like, mm-mm. Because what if I don't like them?
Like, what if we, it's like you can't force somebody to get married. Like, I'm not going to sit here and just go get married. And then in 3 months, it's like, okay, no, I'm good. It's like, no, no, no. Like,
Here's
have
the
fun.
ring. Take it back.
A dating period. Like, give me a dating period.
Absolutely. All right. Before we end, Kelsey, where do people like me that are visionaries come to find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I find that it's LinkedIn or Instagram, but my handle is just at Kelsey Dangerfield. I'm going to spell it because my last name is spelled differently than you think. It's at and then Kelsey, Kelsey, Dangerfield, which is Daingerfield. It's very long, I know, but that's where you guys can find me. If you have questions, just send me a DM. Happy to answer anything. Always here to
Awesome.
chat.
Perfect. So thank you so much for your time. I'm so excited for my listeners to go get some help because
Yeah,
we
thank
all
you.
need it, right? All right. Take care. Thanks for your time, and we will
Yeah.
chat soon.
All right. See ya.